This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
And I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If we could learn to work and play and get along with each other.
Welcome everybody to Wednesday Board Games episode 17. Joining me as always is Liam. Liam, hello, how are you doing?
Hello and everyone, welcome to Wrestling Board Games, the show where we play a wrestling themed board game every week in podcast form. Today we'll be playing the WWE Monopoly.
Have you ever played any of those WWE board games?
Okay, there was like this one that you could buy a book and there was like a drafting game that I played, but that's about it.
I played one, and it was the most nonsensical, unplayable game in the history of games.
What was it?
It was just a WWE board game. I think wasn't there a TNA Impact board game at one stage?
Well, let's go to the Google machine and find out. Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, there was a TNA DVD board game, which I think I also played.
Was it like a quiz game?
I think so. It's very elaborate looking. There's a six-sided ring.
That's pretty cool. They should have made the disc 6 sides.
I don't think that's how DVD players work.
Listen, I've spent a lot of time around DVD players in my life, and I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Have you ever put a six-sided DVD into a DVD player?
Only a 6-sided DVD player.
Of the 3 ratings on this board game website, it has a 4.7 rating, so maybe people like it. Unless that's out of 10, in which maybe then people don't like it. Oh wait, sorry, that is out of 10. So no, people don't like it at all.
I was gonna say, because isn't there like a Steam game where you can import board games?
Really?
Yeah.
Is that one of them?
It's like a tabletop thing, and I assume you could make the TNA Impact trivia game. I assume it's trivia. I assume you could make that in the game.
When we eventually launch Patreon, that will be one of our Patreon goals.
Yes, for only $2,500 a month. We will invite you to play the game with us.
So every week we talk about AEW and NXT, and if you didn't notice by me referring to the show as Wednesday Board Games, maybe I'm not a fan of wrestling this week. Liam, AEW won last week. Please take us through AEW.
Oh, I guess I'm the host of the show now.
Well, once you were like, I could do all of the hosting.
Yeah, well, like, I could do it with preparation, not when it sprung upon me. Well, we opened the show with highlights from last week.
Mm-hmm.
JR, Tony, and Excalibur welcome us to the show.
Stop reading Larry's review.
What?
John Moxley arrived in the crowd.
It was around the time he got stabbed in the eye that he realised the fun and games were over.
Alright, John Moxley opened All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, cut a promo. It was a pretty good promo. I thought the promo was better than the brawl afterward.
I really dug this segment.
Go on, tell me why.
Well, okay. It was very pro wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like any of this new age type of pro wrestling where we think there has to be some sort of gigantic story behind it. It was just I am the good guy of the promotion and you are the bad guy and I will fight for the people, brother. And there was
down to like it was very tropey in the way that John Moxley's like, I will fight you right now, and Chris Jericho was like, you want to fight me? You want to fight me? No. And it's like, that's like the most 101 pro wrestling promo you can possibly get.
But it's like, I like it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we don't get these kind of just basic-ass wrestling segments very often anymore.
I think, is that why people love that Edge Randy Orton one, which was very well executed and a very solid segment. There were like 2 pros doing a good angle, but like it was the most basic injury angle you could possibly have. He hit him with a chair, he had a stretcher job. Like basic, simple, straightforward pro wrestling. People loved it. So yeah, maybe there's something to that. Get back to basics wrestling. Stop being stupid.
It's almost like what we've been saying this entire time of keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, wrestling is very difficult, but it is very rarely anything other than simple.
The stupidness of wrestling has really daunted on me recently.
You DM'd me that wrestling is stupid, and I tried to inquire as to why you thought wrestling was stupid, and you were very aloof about it, so please explain.
Well, I've been watching just a lot of 70s and 80s wrestling lately, and I guess it's just, I've started to see that wrestling through the eyes of people who aren't wrestling fans.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
And I'm just like, oh, it's just a dude jacked to the gills, wearing, like, holding a snake, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna fight you about this snake. And it's like, This makes no sense. It's so stupid. Why do I love it, and why do I treat it like high art at times?
It is high art. That snake is a reflection of the society that bit Jake Roberts, and now he's trying to bite back.
I was gonna say you could have gone, the snake is a representation of the inner demons of Jake Roberts, and I was like, that would make sense.
Listen, we all have our different interpretations of these stories. That's why it's such good art.
And it's stupid. I was like, I didn't lose any love for it while I was having this kind of realization, but I was just like, I got to look at it for the first time of like not being a nostalgic child and being like, wow, wrestling. I was like, this is dumb.
It really is.
It's like, just think about it. Like, even like the things that you don't think are dumb. Like, just like, take Ric Flair, for example, right? Like, you don't consider him like a dumb character, but if you think about it, he's a dude walking out in a robe talking about how much he likes to fuck.
Yeah, and he usually falls on his own face. A lot.
Yeah, and he goes, woo! It's like, it's just such a stupid thing.
That's why it's like Joey Ryan makes people furious. Like, absolutely furious.
Maybe he just exposes, like, the self-doubt that all wrestling fans have about it being what it is.
Yeah, it's just like, you're the same people that probably love The Undertaker being literally dead. Like, his character is that he's actually dead.
Whenever I watch this show and I watch JR, like, snidely refer to something as being, like, unrealistic, I'm like, you sold The Undertaker for 15 years. You can't pretend for 3 seconds that the Dark Order is real.
The Dark Order is much more realistic than The Undertaker.
But it's like, that's what annoys me about JR with his commentary. It's like, you've done so much worse, man.
Yeah, no, he's just a grumpy old man who doesn't put up with it. Which in one way you can respect.
I mean, it's probably more endearing. Maybe he's also had the same reflection that I've had in the last couple weeks.
He's just sick of it. He's sick of all this nonsense in pro wrestling that he's had to sell. He's partly responsible, so it's like the weight of the guilt.
Because he takes responsibility of it.
Yeah, the weight of the guilt hangs on him, so he hates it now.
There you go. So that was my Jon Moxley segment.
Yeah, so you enjoyed this Jon Moxley segment.
I did, and I guess it reminded me of that, and I was like, wrestling is dumb, and that's what makes it cool.
Yeah, there was my, I think, favorite Chris Jericho line of all time in this segment.
Ooh.
Which was, yo ho ho and a bottle of dumb, followed by a pause, because you're stupid.
Chris Jericho's great. He's just like every dickhead heel from a mid-2000s buddy, like, comedy movie.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine, like, that Chris Jericho just walking up to Seth Rogen and being like, you stupid idiot?
Like, the yo and a bottle of dumb line is bad, but then when he explains it, it comes back around again. It's like, yes, very good. Very good, Chris Jericho.
I like that they teased the Moxley-Ortiz match by having Ortiz be the one that goes straight up to him.
Yeah, LAX led their thugs. They brought their thugs from the street to fight.
I was hoping that the thugs were going to be like random House of Glory people, and I don't know if they were, but there weren't any that I recognized if they were.
Part of me was hoping for like Homicide Hernandez and Kingston.
Oh, that'd be sick though.
I actually no. Even a bigger part of me is, remember Richie the child that was run over by a car?
But like he comes back like in an Undertaker style entrance.
Yeah,
and JR sells it because he loves the Undertaker.
He's part of the LAX backup crew.
What if he is what do the Dark Order call their leader again?
The Exalted one.
The Exalted one. Yeah, the Exalted one is the kid.
Mm-hmm. We also had an Inner Circle theme here, Liam.
Yeah, I was like, what? I didn't get to hear it really well, though.
It sounds like an instrumental version of the Evolution theme music.
It is a mystery. Oh, can I read the Triple H quote that I found?
Sure, while I talk about how they should just use Judas. For the love of God, you don't need an Inner Circle team. You have Judas.
I found it.
Go on.
This is a quote that I listened to a making of the Evolution theme video, and Triple H was on it, and he had this quote about Motorhead, which made me really laugh. They're the band that's never changed. They've been around since the 70s, and they've never compromised their style, and they've never gone with trends, and I think that's kind of what evolution is to me. Being stagnant and never changing is evolution.
Don't you love Triple H?
But it's like, I just remember, like, I was aghast when I read that. I mean, when I watched that, I was like, what are you talking about? These things do not correlate.
Though it does reflect his career pretty well.
And that video was also great, and you should seek it out because Randy Orton looks dead in the camera and throws up the devil horns and goes, blah!
Randy Orton is a treasure.
At least young Randy Orton was.
Hey, if you watch the Royal Rumble when Randy's thrown out and he's like mad for half a second and he's like, fuck it. And walks away. It's great. Old Randy's also great.
That old Randy is great and like young Randy is great. It was just the in-between bits.
Yeah, that was unbearable and boring. And he's still a terrible wrestler these days. He also doesn't have that going for him.
We got a video from MJF.
Yeah, so there's deep lore in this video, Liam, not just a plot. We have learned that the butcher is in fact an actual butcher.
I like it.
He has his own butcher kitchen, butchery. Butcher house.
I like this because, yes, you will get it one day. I like this because it suits them, like it gives me the idea that they're not really creepy pervert cult member guys. They're just hitmen.
That like knives.
They're Batman villains. MJF hired the Batman villains.
Sure did.
To kill the Bucks.
As one does. And we also now, I think everybody on this show should eventually have a second profession. You know, Britt Baker's a dentist. The butcher is a butcher. And everyone else should get a second career. It's just good, you know, if your wrestling career doesn't pan out, they have butchery and dentistry to fall back on.
Some real new generation style shit.
Yeah, good career planning from the butcher and Britt Baker, you gotta say.
The butcher and the baker.
Butcher, the baker, and the bunny.
The butcher, the baker, and the bunny. I will never be tired of singing it like that.
Every time someone says the butcher, the blade, and the bunny, it pops, your voice singing it like that just pops into my head. I'm not sure
that should be the intro to their song. Just a creepy kid singing it as if it was a lullaby.
I do like that you just suggested you're a creepy kid.
No, it wasn't me in the... yeah, okay.
Got him.
I have been got.
That takes us to this wrestling match, which was, I think, a perfectly decent but entirely forgettable tag team match.
Wait, just give me 1 second to look at the card. Yep, this was my favorite match of the night.
Is that a reflection of every other match, or...
Yep!
Okay, rather than a distinct enjoyment of this match.
I just thought all the wrestling was kind of blah.
I think on the whole I would have probably preferred the main event, but not by a considerable margin.
Yeah, but I think maybe perhaps this is to do with the fact that I like the Butcher a lot.
Why did you say it like that?
Because I had to remember which one was which.
Alright, I think the best thing about this match was the transition into the Meltzer driver at the end. That was cool.
I like all their Meltzer driver based shenanigans. It was a good Young Bucks TV match. What do you want from me?
A great Young Bucks TV match. That's what I want from you, Liam.
From me? Do you want me to wrestle the Young Bucks and put on a better match?
Yes, please. Speaking of better than the match that came before it, the post-match was amazing.
Yeah, this is when I started to realize that, on this show, I'm gonna prefer all the angles to the wrestling.
Because the Butcher and the Blade attacked the Young Bucks afterwards until Kenny Omega sprinted down to make the save, hit some V-triggers, then Hangman Page languidly wandered down the ramp drinking a beer, handed the beer to Matt Jackson, hit the buckshot lariat over the ropes, grabbed his beer, drank his beer, and walked away, and it was as perfect as it could humanly possibly have been.
It's truly astonishing how perfectly this, and I do mean it as a pun, rehab of Hangman Page has worked.
Well, all in on Hangman Page. He should be... there was a period last year after he lost to Jericho where it's he will never be AEW champion, and now I'm back on Team Hangman Page should be AEW champion someday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I think we all thought that eventually he should win the title. It was just not now.
He just had to become a drunk who hands his beer to people, he knocks their head off, and then walks away and drinks it.
It worked for Steve Austin.
It did work for Steve Austin. And Steve Austin would probably approve of cowboy shit.
Oh, gee. One day we need to get Austin to just appear on AEW and have a segment with Hangman.
Where they have a beer for the working man.
Yeah, that would rule. What would the AEW knockoff Austin theme be?
They should just pay for the Disturbed one. Could they technically do that?
I guess so. Oh, heck yeah.
Nyla Rose defeated Big Swole in a criminally boring match.
I was going to say, Larry here on his review at 411 Mania says that this match went 8 minutes 35.
I don't believe it.
Which must be incorrect because I believe the match is still going.
It was a very, very long match. That the only good thing in this match was 2 minutes before the end, Swole hit a real cool kick. And everyone was like, woo!
Swole also hit at the start a really cool flatliner, like drag down flatliner.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty sweet.
Other than that, this match was very boring, and Nyla Rose hit a very mediocre-looking spear before hitting the Beast Bomb for the finish.
And we are getting the beginnings of the Nyla Riho teasing.
Yeah, which they technically set up back when Riho won the belt, and Nyla attacked her after the match, and then that never went anywhere. It's going to Revolution, apparently.
Well, is it though? Because as I've talked about recently in these few weeks, that like in AEW, everyone kind of has two feuds going on at once.
Yeah.
And it annoys me. And now they're doing it with Riho, where she kind of has a feud with Nyla, but she also kind of has a feud with Britt.
Does she have a feud with Britt, though? She just beat Britt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but Britt has been still talking shit about her the entire time.
I think that's more just to set up Britt's heel turn, but when it comes to this company, you never know. In the worst Cody Rhodes match in the history of all elite wrestling, Cody Rhodes defeated Kip Sabian. I did not like this match at all. Because one, it was tremendously overbooked. Far too much manager nonsense, far too much nonsense on the outside. And then, like, they just had... And Joey Janela showed up as well. I forgot about that. Though that spot was actually pretty good. I'll give them credit for that one. And then the action of the match wasn't good. Because Kip Sabian ain't it. And he should never be on television because he's not ready.
Keep him on Dark.
Don't even put him on Dark. Send him on Excursion somewhere.
He was having cool, like, four-way matches on Dark at the start.
Sure, when he's... The less focus is on him, I suppose, the better, more tolerable he is.
I was going to say, because I do also enjoy his, like, weird team with the Hybrid 2. And they were just working, like, cool six-mans.
So the more anonymous Kip Sabian becomes, the more tolerable he becomes.
That seems to be it.
Yeah, Cody beat him. The last minute was good because Cody just...
Yeah, I was going to say, the last minute was sick, how he just kept hitting the crossroads one after another.
Because Cody is good. Very little of this match not being particularly great had to do with Cody. The Aaron Anderson stuff in particular was just nonsensical.
Yeah, I didn't mention at the time, but when I saw Arn's involvement in the Derby match where he got up on the thing and he tapped his knee, even then I was kind of like, oh, here we go.
And yeah, now he's just like, he's getting into fights with the referee for apparently no reason whatsoever. And the idea is supposed... And actually, what really annoyed me is they did the spot where Kip Sabian faked a knee injury, like moments after Penelope Ford faked an injury on the floor. And like... it would have been a really good spot if Cody showed concern and Aaron was like, nah, they're faking it, get on him. You know, that would have been a good use of the manager role, but Cody fell for
like more subtlety is what you're calling for.
Yeah, then Aaron has an actual functional role there where he calls their bullshit and he's helpful to Cody. Instead, Cody falls for the bullshit and Aaron just gets banned from ringside for being stupid, and then Cody just goes on to win the match anyway. And I'm like, what's the point of any of this?
True.
Cody won with 3 straight crossroads. Cody's good at least.
Hell yeah.
Oh, actually, no, I have a problem with Cody's entrance.
Oh, how was it? Because he was longingly staring into Arn Anderson's eyes as he rose up?
No, I want more horniness between Aaron and Cody. I'm fine with that.
Poor Tony.
He's cheating on it. Yeah, he's been cast aside. You know the way Cody has the intro theme and then his main theme?
Yeah, and it cuts really abruptly.
It cuts really abruptly. That's my problem. The intro theme should be adjusted so that it leads into the main theme organically instead of just cutting it halfway through.
I've hated this the whole time, but no one's ever brought it up, so I'm just like, is this just a me thing?
No, it's because it's like, oh, wrestling. It's just like straight cut.
It's not even that. It's like, oh, wrestling is for the one royal family. It's like, whoa, calm it down.
Yeah. So yeah, either have that run longer or re-edit that piece of music so that it leads into a crescendo that
or just
crashes
have it, like,
into.
Dip in, like, turn it down. Just turn it down and then turn the other one up.
Rather than just cutting from one to the other.
Yeah.
Also, after the match, on Fight TV, Cody was celebrating at ringside, and I think that's the furthest into that theme song I've ever heard.
I can tell you it's not the furthest I've ever heard because I've listened to the full song multiple times.
Listen, I save it for his entrances, so I appreciate it more.
Do you save Judas?
Actually, I do. I don't think I've ever actually listened to Judas outside the context of a wrestling entrance.
I've listened to Judas a lot.
It is the Judas in your mind.
Literally.
Speaking of Tony interviewed Britt Baker. Britt Baker turned babyface, I think, after her heel turn was only for 2 weeks. She turned babyface after burying JR relentlessly. It's a good babyface promo.
She had a bad promo last week, and a very, very, very good one this week.
Yeah, she found her delivery. Like, she has to be, like, disingenuous and then mean. It's like, oh, JR, you're good. And then she pivots in, and that works. Whereas last week, she was just kind of weirdly...
rambled a bit.
Yeah, she just kind of rambled and went all over the place.
Like, her delivery here was really, really good. I do want to put that over.
And she got a lot of heat.
Like, they say, oh, the crowd was hot for this.
For a relatively tepid crowd as well for the rest of the night.
Good shit. This might be my favorite segment on the show.
Yeah. But of course, it's not she turned face again, so I don't understand it. I have another serious problem with this. There's a thing that always used to happen in TNA, and it happened in WWE recently, where Dixie Carter would come to the ring, and then you'd have Tommy Dreamer or some other babyface come to the ring and tell you everything that's actually wrong with the company. It's like, you shouldn't be on television. You should be giving these young people a chance. This shouldn't be the company about you. And then you're like, you recognize what's the problem enough that you put this on a promo on your television show, and then you never go about fixing the problem. And WWE did the same thing with Kevin Owens last year with Shane McMahon, where he's like, Shane McMahon is the problem. You should be pushing Ali. You should be pushing Buddy Murphy. And then it's like, they never did. SmackDown is still one of the worst television shows in the history of television. And this annoyed me here because they have Britt Baker go out there and say, JR, you're only cashing a check. You don't even know anybody's names. You're terrible. And then I'm like, and you still have him on commentary.
You should have got up dejected and left. It just had Tony and Excalibur call the rest of the show.
Yeah, JR should have been furious. But yeah, like that annoys me, because that makes me think you're aware that there's a problem here and you're not doing anything about it.
Old Michael Jacob Friedman.
Yes, good old Michael. Do you think that was this? I assume that was a payoff this time. I assume he got the name wrong the first time, and they were like, "Get it wrong, I'll correct you here," and they turned it into a thing. Yeah,
because he got it wrong like twice last time, and they were different M names each time.
Yeah.
But he also said Maxwell, so it's not like he was just fucking it up to fuck it up.
Maybe we're not giving the deep announcer storytelling enough credit, Liam.
Old Michael,
The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega are interviewed backstage. Hangman Page comes along and hands them nameplates.
I also like that he walked in front of Kenny completely, and Kenny had to move out to get back on camera.
And I like when he handed them. Kenny's like, "Oh yeah, that's nice of you."
See, Kenny's oblivious to everything that the Bucks and Hangman being super passive aggressive.
This is easily the best thing on the show.
Oh yeah, obviously. Thank you, Big TK.
Yeah, next week the Bucks, Page and Omega will face the Butcher, the Blade, and the Lucha Bros, as it turns out.
The Butcher, the Blade, and the Bros.
And the Bunny.
She's not in the match.
Too. She should be in the matches. It should be handicap matches.
I was going to say, who would you add to the elite side?
Brandy.
Mel!
Okay, we won't talk about Dark, or maybe we'll talk about it next week, but apparently they're breaking up the Nightmare Collective, so woo!
I haven't read the Dark results.
No.
Do you want to tell them to me right now so I can react to them?
I didn't read the results, but apparently they had Mel and who's the other person in that group?
Awesome Kong?
No, they beat up Awesome Kong anyway, apparently.
Oh!
So perhaps they're dumping Kong.
I guess Kong is just can't work.
Well, yeah, she might be injured, so they're writing her off.
A fitting end to the group, to be honest.
Yes, the darkness of the world. That's where you just get rid of Mel. Poor Mel.
Well, maybe this is the big singles push for Mel.
Where she'll be should there be a singles push for Mel?
Whoa!
It was Luther and Mel that beat Kong down, not Brandy. So maybe they're splitting from Brandy.
Maybe they'll be Team Mel, yeah. Like that?
That's not bad.
That was off the dome, too.
SCU defeated Angelico and Jack Evans in a kind of boring match, but they paid tribute to Kobe Bryant, so they had that going for them.
Because they are SCU, you see.
They are all from California.
I just said SCUUC.
Yes.
Which made me laugh.
My brain had to process.
But apparently was not a big enough deal for you.
My brain is working too slowly, it's fine.
Mel, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about this big Hyper 2 against SCU match?
Nah.
No, neither do I.
I don't remember anything about it, to be honest.
I remember it being quite dull.
And Helico and Evans had cool, spooky gear.
Oh, and tribute to La Parka.
Yeah. And I assumed that was it, but I didn't know.
I think they also did his dance.
Oh, well, there you go. And I remember that on commentary, I think Tony was the one who said that TH2 are the most underrated team in the company. And I'm like, well, the record doesn't represent that.
That annoys me. Though, in fairness, Tony covered it at the end when he was like, tweak some things and maybe they will be. So at least he was like, there's something wrong, but they could get there.
Maybe the tweaking is that they should go full skeleton.
That's true. They should just add masks.
Then they're just a part of the Dark Order.
Speaking of, the Dark Order came out, they're mad at Daniels, and they're coming for his family. That's what they said.
Cool. Then we got the best... I take back what I just said. This is the best part of the show.
Pac was standing on some steps, and he's like, I was beaten on a boat by John Moxley.
No, I'll find the exact quote because it's worth saying.
It's like, out at sea? That doesn't count.
She should have been... Didn't you say something about it? He should complain about it being international waters.
I said that on Twitter about SCU. They should complain that the title match should not have been sanctioned because it was international waters. So Pac was standing out there in the freezing cold in his underwear. You could see the breath coming out of his mouth. The poor guy had to stand on those steps. But yeah, he's cutting this awesome promo about how Mox defeated him on the boat and it shouldn't count. And he's still coming for Kenny Omega, but he'll do it on his time. And next week he's coming for blood and he's furious and he's mad and he's like the most convincing person on the show because you look in his eyes and you can see this is a psychopath who just wants to hurt people. And Pac rules. Pac's the best person on this show. Never mind the Bucks and frickin' Hangman Page. Pac. Push Pac. Like, the AEW have a very weird thing where there's a very distinct split between the top of the card and the bottom of their card. Because you go from Pac to Kip Sabian, and you're like, ooh, the gulf there is just ginormous.
Pac needs to come out and get Nakazawa and just tear the dude's shoulder out of his socket with the brutalizer.
Actually rip his arm off and then hit him with his own arm.
For real. The quote was, "A moving vessel is no place for competition."
That's a perfectly valid point.
You know what? Especially being a man who does a move off of the top rope, he has a legitimate complaint.
Yeah. He's being raw. Yeah, he was literally standing on the top rope, being blown by the wind. He couldn't hit his moves. This is an unsafe work environment, All Elite Wrestling. What are you doing?
Speaking of an unsafe work environment, next week, Cody takes 10 lashes from MJF.
Yes, we also have Ortiz's first singles match in 4 years against John Moxley. He worked no singles matches in Impact. Not one. Santana only worked... between the two of them, they worked one singles match over their 2.5 years in Impact. What a tag team.
Commitment to the bit.
Britt Baker faces Yuka Sakura.
Yeah.
Yes, and the Bucks Page Omega versus Butcher Blade and Lucha Bros.
That one got you, didn't it?
Very upsetting.
You actually threw me off because I thought you were going to go straight from the Ortiz Mox bit into it, and I was about to go, and you're like, oh yeah, it's been 4 years. I was like, no, wasn't ready for that.
I had to inform, add value to our audience before you attacked them. Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz defeated Private Party and Darby Allin in a good but not great main event. A fun little match, but nothing special.
I don't think I remember anything from this.
I think Darby was far and away the best person in the match, and other than that, nothing else was particularly remarkable.
Actually, I did have one note from this match.
Go on.
Chris Jericho is really good at being the last person in a six-man with a young kid who is getting close falls on him.
Oh, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, he did it with Jungle Boy, he did it with Darby, and now in this match, he did it with Private Party.
When they get that last near fall before Judas effect, the crowd buys it every single time.
Yeah.
It helps that
it's real good shit.
Well,
even Scorpio Sky had it as well.
Indeed. And everyone he's wrestled has had it, yeah.
Maybe it's just Chris Jericho's real good at wrestling.
He is. And it helps that he's very over and people think beating him means something. So when they actually beat him, or they don't actually beat him, when they tease actually beating him, it means something.
Well, also, it's if someone beats him, they get a title shot. That's how it works.
Yeah, precedent.
We saw that with Scorpio Sky.
Actually, speaking of Scorpio Sky, we also have precedent that All Elite Wrestling has championship rematches. So there you go. It was mentioned on commentary that
match too.
SCU are due a rematch.
Where do you think that happens? Next week? The week after? Well, not next week. That'd be weird. The week after?
Probably the week after.
Hell yeah. Come on, you know where they're definitely holding that show.
I don't. I know they're in Huntsville next week, which is Huntsville, the Von Braun Civic Center in Huntsville, Alabama, which is the home of TNA, the birthplace of TNA wrestling, Liam.
Wow.
There you go.
I wonder if some TNA legends will show up.
They're doing Alabama legends, apparently.
Oh. I was going to say those exist.
Sure. I don't know Alabama wrestling.
I know nothing about that. What's wrestling, bro?
Somebody's going to be really mad at you for disparaging Alabama wrestling, but it's fine.
I don't think anyone will be mad at me.
The Inner Circle beat down everybody, and Sammy drove Darby Allin's neck into a skateboard. Probably, I assume, setting up a match between them at Revolution, which I think that's a real fun undercard match, Sammy against Darby Allin.
This was the second act of throat violence on the night.
What was the other one?
Well, we saw some more on NXT.
Oh, yes.
That was me like giving you a transition to NXT.
You really did it well. WWE NXT opened with Finn Balor defeating Trent Seven in what was, I think, remarkably a squash match.
It was like, it was a 10-minute squash match, but also I liked it.
Because yeah, Finn jumped him before the bell, which I loved because that dropkick off the apron ruled.
And I knew it was going to happen too. As soon as I saw him like delay even more so than normal, I was like, he's getting drop kicked off this shit.
Yeah, then Finn beat him down, went to a break, came back from break. Trent got a little hope spot, got a little near fall, and then Finn just beat him.
Good stuff.
Which I didn't think they'd do. It's Gargano. I assume Gargano was the Takeover Portland match, but they haven't really done much.
They announced
about it.
that.
Did they?
Yeah, they announced that on this show.
Well, I was clearly paying a ton of attention, but they didn't really build much of that. Like, Gargano cost them the title match all the way back in. That was the last show before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yes.
And I don't think they've really interacted much in a meaningful way in the month since.
I think he attacked Gargano at Worlds Collide.
I thought he attacked one of the Mustache Mountain, and then Gargano made the save.
No, I think Tyler and Seven saved Gargano.
This is what they get for putting these segments on the internet instead of putting them on the television shows.
It's like these matches here remind me of like how cool NXT TV could be. Like, just take a random person that you never use, put them against a star, and have a real cool match.
Where poor Trent Seven mostly gets squashed.
Yeah, but it's Trent Seven.
That's true. That's very, very true.
I would really like some more Mustache Mountain just on NXT.
And ideally more Tyler Bate.
I hope we get a Bella Tyler Bate match out of this.
Surely next week, right?
Hopefully.
Which is the natural build to Finn Balor against Johnny Gargano. Kelly interviewed the Broserweights. They're ready for their match tonight. I like
two flags!
Explain the flags, Liam.
On this segment, there were two flags. There was a Pete Dunne Bruiserweight flag, which we have seen before, and I think maybe a new Matt Riddle flag with his stallion logo on it. And also, there was a shirt in between the two.
You're supposed to be tweeting these flags so that you can tell whether or not they're new.
I like to keep it in the old memory bank.
All right, but they're doing the straight man, funny man kind of thing where Riddle's making jokes, and then they cut to Pete Dunne, who's like, "I will fight you."
Yeah, it's like Riddle's like, "Haha, I smoke weed," and then Pete's like, "Haha, he smokes weed."
We have a tease for next week, which everyone assumes is Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, I didn't even see this.
There was two of them where they were like 5/22, and then the numbers formed the date properly. Well, not properly in American dates, which is wrong, but
I didn't see this.
how did you miss both of them?
I missed both of them.
Shotzi Blackheart rode to the ring in what I can only assume is the tank that Sammy Guevara invaded the Royal Rumble with.
I'm really mad that you took my bit.
Yeah, well, apparently she used the tank on the Indies, but who could possibly know?
Indies don't exist anymore. When she came out, I legitimately thought, is this a shot at the Sammy thing? But apparently not.
Tonight, Shotzi Blackheart is tanking care of
Excuse me?
business.
Who?
I said Shotzi Blackheart. I mostly got there.
You said Shotzi Black Bart.
Did I? Well,
Yeah.
there's surely no way of knowing. She beat Deonna Purrazzo in a squash, basically.
Yeah. I liked it though. They really like Shotzi Blackheart, huh?
They
gave her
do.
the Rumble. They gave her the elimination of Shayna.
I did like in the Rumble that they called back to the elimination of Shayna, where she threatened to throw Shayna out, and Shayna's like, "Not this time," and then threw her out instead.
Synergy. Brand synergy.
Yeah, Beth opened the show crying over the death of Edge, so there's a lot of brand synergy going on.
They could learn from this AEW.
Keith Lee came out, cut a meaningless, pointless promo full of dopey brand moments.
Okay. Yeah, that was stupid, right?
Okay.
But when Priest came out, and then when Dijakovic came out, I was like, I'm kind of into this.
You really do love that, like, parade of challengers,
Yeah,
music
I do.
hitting.
And especially when they add some good old WWE comedy. That's what gets me.
And then that led us into a wrestling match between Dominic Dijakovic and Damien Priest, which was a good match where they did big things and flips and stuff.
This was my favorite match up until another match of the night. Like, this match was better than anything on Dynamite.
Yeah, probably was.
Yeah. They did a cool, like, double spinny kick move.
Dijakovic did a springboard moonsault.
And we're probably going to get Dijakovic Lee 15.
Yeah, Damien Priest did a top rope poison rana.
We're going to get a Lee Dijak match at TakeOver.
What if we get a Lee Dijak Priest triple threat match at TakeOver?
That would make very little sense.
Well, they could have Priest beat Lee next week, and that sets up the triple threat because Dijakovic beat Priest and Priest beat Lee.
That's stupid.
Do you think it's something they wouldn't do?
I'm hoping they wouldn't do it because I'd rather just see Dijakovic versus Lee have a either really good or really bad match.
Yeah, well, give them a takeover. I don't want to see them do their same match again. I'll be so mad if they just do their same match again.
I want them to just, let's do something different and just have them be big guys who beat the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, be mad. Show something different this time, you two. Don't just go in and do your moves.
The problem is they're too, buddy-buddy now.
Tommaso Ciampa beat the hell out of all of the Undisputed Era with a pipe.
And it was so dumb looking!
They were just lying there unconscious.
I hate this still sell stuff they do for backstage attacks in NXT specifically. Why can't they be, groaning on the ground? That's, there's no blood. He didn't bludgeon them to death.
Maybe he did. How do you know? Maybe he just got one. Actually, how does he knock out 3 people at once? Were they, standing in a line so that he could, swing it at the back of all of their head at once?
You may have not noticed this, Garrett, but his shirt was ripped, so they did fight back.
Well, sure. So how did he knock them all out then?
I assume he got Bobby first, and then Kings of Strong Kyle started to gang up on him. They ripped his shirt, he got away, and he went boom, boom, and hit them both, and they died.
As one does.
And then we got I liked the segment.
I thought the segment was fine.
I don't like Ciampa's words.
Yeah, I was like, I've come to the realization I don't particularly like Tommaso Ciampa.
He's just cringy, man.
I want my Goldie back. I want to fight for my Goldie. I'm like, all right.
Johnny Gargano made us forget that Tommaso Ciampa is just Tommaso Ciampa at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's very lame.
Whether that be, being in a tag team with Gargano, being a super worker, or having, either vastly overrated or just bad matches in singles with him, but, they were disguising his blandness. I don't know. I guess there was the reason he never topped anywhere else.
Yeah.
Before, I think we're starting to see that a little bit.
So when he was hit with the microphone, see, he got away with this one because he bled.
Yeah, the blood was so sick though. I take it all back. The blood was so sick, and then he did it on the contract, and then it bled all over the belt, and he was holding it, and it was actually sick. I take it all back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Garrett, are you excited? Next week, your champion will be on the show.
Oh, yeah, Jordan Devlin of the... it was a very good weekend for the Irish. Clean sweep with Becky, Sheamus, Finn, and Devlin all winning.
I definitely knew about the rest of those.
Because you watched the Royal Rumble, didn't you?
I watched the Rumble matches.
Did you enjoy the Rumbles?
I liked the men's one, because it was different.
Sexist as usual.
But you know what I mean, right? It was a completely different kind of Rumble that we haven't seen before. I thought it was really good.
Except the back half of it, which was very conventional.
Yeah, but, we had already escaped 30 minutes of it at that point, so why does it matter?
That's true. So you didn't like the Women's Rumble? I thought the Women's Rumble was really good.
I thought it was alright, I just didn't, I thought the men's one was an all-time great Rumble, so...
I didn't think either was all-time great, but I enjoyed both a lot.
I guess I just really liked the Brock segment.
Well, he did make a lot of faces. Even
though I never got Riddle.
Well, the world got it backstage.
Brock Lesnar got him.
You got the confrontation you wanted, just not in public.
Do you think that match is never going to happen?
Nah.
Part of me thinks it will still.
I don't think Riddle will ever get high enough up for it to happen.
It's all a long-term work.
Just like Chris Brooks and Cara Noir in Progress.
Don't even talk to me about that.
The worst part of that was the Twitter victory. You completely undermine the idea of doing the work if you take a victory lap about it being a work.
Just two mates.
Tegan Nox defeated Dakota Kai in a match that had shockingly little heat. The crowd did not care in the slightest about this very heated, very bitter, very personal grudge match.
Well, the crowd may not have cared, but I cared.
Oh, did you? They had a pretty meaningless 3-minute match. The best part was Tegan Nox just standing there watching her knee being destroyed as Dakota Kai made her entrance.
That ruled! And then it was a 3-minute match before an angle. I don't care. This was a good segment.
Nah. I think this was a mediocre match that the crowd didn't care about. If this was their first match since Survivor Series, and this was it? Nox won?
Yeah, that was my one problem with it. I thought it was weird that Nox won.
They did the blow-off spot. She hit her with the knee brace and pinned her clean. Like,
What? You
what?
know what that
What
means?
are we doing?
Just that Kai's going to be the one to get the big win.
A takeover, but like that's not how story structure works.
I know it's backwards booking, but like, what can I say? I liked the segment, man. Speaking of segments I liked,
Caden Carter defeated Chelsea Green. Poor Chelsea is a burial of TNA wrestling, I'll tell you that much.
yeah, I like this too.
I do like the idea of hyping somebody up as this big, like, very notable, debuting, hyper brilliant woman in the division, and then she gets thrown out of the Rumble nonchalantly, and then beaten in her supposed squash match against Caden Carter.
There's a lot of good continuity in this, like, mini Chelsea Green story. Where, like, she starts, Robert Stone's like, you're the best, takes her out of the Battle Royal for the NXT title, but puts her in the Royal Rumble for the main event of for the big women's titles. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. She didn't last very long, but cool.
I mean, that's not a reflection of Robert Stone's managerial skills by any means.
Just his choice of client.
He should have gone with Diana. That's what we learnt.
Well, she also got squashed in this show,
But
so maybe not.
Did she take her more than 3 minutes?
He should have gone with Caden Carter or Shotzi Blackheart.
It was 15 seconds longer. Therefore, still a better choice.
Fair enough.
Speaking of a better choice,
Our main event, as the Broserweights defeated the Grizzlies Young Veterans to win the Dusty Cup, and they will go on to face Undisputed Era at NXT Takeover Portland in a match that was very long.
I did like it though.
I don't know. I thought the last segment of it was really good, and I just thought the first half was just there. It just went on.
I don't know. I was kind of into it the whole time. I think. I really like Riddle and Riddle and Dunn as a team. I think that really helps it.
Yeah.
I like this match a lot actually.
I thought the closing segment was good, and the rest was boring.
You know what I don't like about the Dusty Classic?
What?
Like, over 50% of the time, they've put a non-tag team over a bunch of tag teams, therefore, like, diminishing the tag division completely.
Yes, just like the AEW Tag Team division.
That was fine, because
Do you actually want a stat that does justify it?
Yes.
Kenny Omega and Hangman Page are the most prolific team in AEW history. No team has had
Really?
more tag team matches than Kenny Omega and Hangman Page.
There you go. Shut up, other Liam.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I liked it. I didn't like the two singles guys beating all the tag teams again, because they've done it like 4 times if you include Cole and O'Reilly winning it instead of Red Dragon. Like, the only tag teams that have actually won are like Authors of Pain.
That went well.
Yeah, they're in the Messiah group.
Really, I suppose, yeah. They're doing okay for themselves these days, for now.
Thanks, Heyman.
Sure. And that's NXT.
Mel, yeah.
Mel, yeah, indeed. That's where, if we ever have a t-shirt for the podcast, our first
Yeah.
t-shirt is going to be Mel, yeah.
Mel, yeah, on the back is just gonna be riding the ship, baby.
Austin 316 is the only...
It's gonna be. Don't trust some people. Mel, yeah. It's gonna be Muck Mools. That's a Cena shirt.
What was your
both.
match of the week?
I liked the NXT main event. I gave it 4 stars.
That's far too high. I think I'd probably
Out
go
of
with
5.
Dijakovic and Priest.
Well, you're wrong, so yeah.
I didn't particularly like any match this week, though.
Oh, here we go. Classic dismissive Garrett. Doesn't care about the shows.
No, I don't. Not when they're bored. These were 2 very sleepy shows. They were just kind of there, coasting along, neither really particularly good or really, like, with a sense of urgency. They're just kind of motoring along.
I liked one show, and I thought one show was boring.
Alright, so, show of the week. Which did you like and which did you think was boring?
I'm gonna vote for NXT. Yeah. I just think if you look at the card, there was more interesting stuff on NXT this week. Like, there was 2 really good segments on AEW, but that wasn't enough to bring it over NXT for me.
There was like 4 squash matches on NXT this week.
But they were stories.
Were they? What's the story of Shotzi Blackheart beating Deonna Purrazzo?
Shotzi coming up. That was, you named the one. The other ones all had stories.
Really?
Chelsea losing the debut.
What was the story of Finn Balor against Trent Seven?
Trent Seven was trying to avenge being choked out in the parking lot.
Alright. But then he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, because he sucks. That's his fault.
I don't
He was
like
just
either
too
of these
cool.
shows. Could I just abstain?
No, you gotta vote for NXT. That's how it works.
Well, the poll says AEW 72-28.
That's why
so
I want you to vote for NXT, because I'm right.
I don't like either of them, though.
Which one had your match of the week?
By, like, the slimmest of margins.
Well,
but it
you're
was
looking for a reason, aren't you?
default. Oh.
Give him the default win. You know you have to.
Fine, NXT.
Whoa, clap, 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 clap.
I have been adequately bullied.
I just want you to have an answer. I think this is the last time you gave NXT the win, too. It was like, you didn't like either shows particularly, but I was like, you gave one show the match of the week. Come on. Oh,
Yeah, but, like,
it is the week, technically.
it was the best 3.25 star match of the, like, bunch of 3.25 star matches.
That means something.
Sure.
You know, that means that one show was a 5 and one show was a 5.1.
Sure.
NXT. NXT.
Default.
Default. Oh, I thought we gotta keep going with it.
You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Wednesday War Games, where you can vote in the poll. You can follow Liam on Twitter at Larrikin, or me on Twitter at Garrett Kidney. If you'd like more AEW coverage in your podcast feed, you can listen to Everything Elite. Shake Them Ropes, which I think is still going because Chris quit the show because WWE is
you bullied
unbearable
him.
and terrible. I did. He quit the show months after I appeared on the show, so a good sign that I am toxic.
I also want to throw a quick thank you to the Wednesday War Games Discord because they did the linear ace.
Oh yeah, you meant to thank them last week, but you
Yeah,
forgot.
I forgot because we had such a great show. But yeah, I wanted to thank them all because they took our dumb podcast bit and they actually spent time and they worked it out that Bad Luck Fale is the linear ace of New Japan.
Everything has gone badly in New Japan history is what we're saying.
Yes, it's gone completely downhill.
Also, I'm going to give a shout out to Benjamin Paul on Twitter, who coined the term Boatlag, which is what I'm going to use as the title for this podcast for the AEW bit.
Oof.
It's like jet lag, but with boats, because the show was pretty sleepy and boring when they were on a boat. It's
What's the
Boatlag.
NXT name going to be?
Probably just Dusty Classics finals. That would
Wait,
be
no, we can think of something. Let's brainstorm it. We have Worlds Collide to work with.
Speaking of, actually, they pretty much totally ignored Worlds Collide on this show.
Okay, we can go with Royal Rumble, Royal Fumble.
No, because the show you liked the show.
Shit. Well,
Which actually, speaking of, I used all at sea last week for AEW, even though I thought Dynamite was actually pretty good, but I thought the pun was good enough that I wanted to use it.
there you go. You can use Royal Fumble.
I'll probably just use Dusty Classic Finals.
Wow.
It's fine. They don't always have to be jokey. Sometimes you just go for the better SEO. Thanks for listening, and bye-bye.